So let's start in seated mountain. As we so often do, our 3-mountain format. We will begin with 3 to 5 minutes of breathing. Sitting comfortably, whatever comfortable means to you here today. Feet on blocks. Sometimes 1 foot on, 1 foot off is a little bit happier in the hips. If we would like the support of the back of the chair, we can scooch back. But ideally, we're working towards core engagement. We have space between ourselves and the back. Sitting further forward usually makes it easier to sit tall. Option for eyes opened or eyes closed. Feel free to look at me the entire time. I will not be doing anything. I will just be sitting here. But if we're comfortable closing our eyes, tuning our attention inward, we can also take our eyes down towards the floor and relax the muscles around the eyelids. As we're turning our attention inward, let's take a moment to draw in a deep breath. Exhaling without effort. Noticing how we're feeling right here, right now, today. So we may have memories of how we felt in the past or anticipation of how we will feel. But what's our perception just at this moment? What's going on inside? And we have the option to mentally or physically place a hand on any body part that we're taking care of. So you can do this as a reminder to yourself at any point to take care. If we have a tender back, knee, shoulder, whatever that may be, remembering we can modify and that no part of yoga is pain. We're listening to our bodies, letting go of the need to go further, to push farther. No expectation, no competition, no judgment. And if we have a hand on that tender body part, we can release it back where it's comfortable. So our hands can rest in our lap, palms up, palms down, palms together. Sometimes it helps our posture to have our fingertips on the chair to help us sit tall. Let's check in with our posture at this moment. Can we give our toes a little wiggle in our shoes? Engaging energy and strength in the lower body, pressing down, putting our mind in our feet, seeing if we can evenly press down between our big toe, the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe, the inside of the heel and the outside of the heel. Engaging dynamic tension or muscular energy, pressing in to all those points in the feet, lifting up through the inner arches of our feet, engaging that strength, drawing up through the legs. We can be pressing our seats down in our chair to grow ourselves taller, aligning spine. Can we stretch our necks longer, reaching head up to the clouds, drawing our shoulder blades down to the earth? So can we be evenly stretched between earth and sky without straining? Bringing our attention to our breathing, option to have a hand on heart or belly, maybe both. To bring awareness to our 3-part or diaphragmatic breathing. As we draw the breath in, we're bringing the breath deep down into the furthest reaches of our lungs. Sometimes it might feel like there are kind of cobwebs in the furthest reaches of our lung capacity. Can we brush them away? Breathing in fully, bringing in the fresh air, drawing in, imagining we are bringing in the light of day. And exhaling, relaxing shoulders down and back once more. We can use our counting here. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 3, 2, 1. We'll give it a few more rounds of breath here. Allowing our breath to be full without forcing. Deep breath in. And truly emptying the lungs at the end. All right, we'll keep this full breath going as we move through our time together. If our eyes are closed, opening them now. Let's start to wake up our body, toe to head. So we can wiggle our toes, see if they have any movement, either bare feet or in our shoes. And then let's extend one leg so that we can point and flex. If it's in our range of motion today, we can take ankle over thigh. No need to do so. If we can extend out or lift up, same idea, but sometimes it's more comfortable to have the leg resting. If our range of motion in our hips will allow, circling the ankle. If our ankles are quite stiff, we can use opposite hand to circle our ankle, making sure that we go both clockwise and counterclockwise. Saying hello, good morning, wake up and energize to our feet. Making our foot like a ballerina, pointing away, and then pulling the knee, pulling the toes back towards the knee, engaging the muscle in the front of the shin, maybe even feeling length down the back of the leg, stretching the calf muscle. And then we're ready to switch to the other foot. So we can release our foot back to neutral. If we like the foot to come up and across, go for it. Otherwise, on the floor, reaching forward, pointing and flexing. And there's no one right way to do this. So we're circling, pointing and flexing. Everyone's ankles are a little bit different. And then even our own ankles are different from one day to the next. So maybe today you feel like you need more circles, or tomorrow you feel like you need more pointing and flexing. That is okay. And if we do have our leg up and across, we can completely relax the ankle so that it's passive, letting the hand move. So these are just different options. Sometimes it feels better to be more active. Sometimes it feels better to be more passive. And at the end of the day, if you prefer to just watch me, as long as you feel okay, that is okay. All right, we'll go ahead and release. Let's move our circles upward. Let's take our upper body in a circle. So we're coming up to our torso. It's a variation of what's sometimes called a spinning top or a Kundalini circle. Feeling out our range of motion here with this circle. Might feel good to do a big, slow circle. Sometimes it feels a little bit better to be more controlled if we're thinking about balance. We are kind of testing our balance as we move our bodies in a circle. Occasionally, dizziness is a little bit of an issue. So we may need to keep the eyes straight forward as we go. Just careful we're not like, woo, dramatic with the head. Okay, make note of which direction we're going. And let's switch directions. As we do this, maybe we're feeling our body temperature increase. Might start to feel looser, bigger range of motion. If that happens and it feels good, let's go for it. If we do feel quite stiff, then we can keep a smaller range of motion so that we're always moving within a certain degree of comfort. We may be pushing the edge of our comfort, but we're not stressing, straining, overdoing it, anything like that. Okay, we've moved into our upper body. Let's move up. We'll do our wrists. Just like we did with our ankles, circling our wrists here. So I have my wrist or my hand just in a soft fist, and I'm circling around. Some of my participants have told me it begins to be a lot to hold our arms, and they actually prefer to have a bolster across their laps while they're here. We could use our bodies as a bolster as well. It depends, if you have longer arms, the thighs are more accessible to rest the forearms on the thighs. But the odd student I've had really likes this one instead. They just find it gets to be a lot to be seated with the arms kind of hanging in front of them. Make sure we've gone both directions in our wrists. And for the nature of our work today, we actually won't be putting any of our body weight on our hands on the mat, just a little bit on the chair. So we don't need to do too much to warm up the wrists, not compared to what we would do on the floor, but still let's wiggle the fingers. Close and open the palms. And this is a way to test out how our hands are feeling each day. So if I find what really gets to me is working on a tablet really starts to irritate my hands. So that's something you might think, oh yeah, if you were on the tablet, the iPad a lot yesterday, your phone, whatever it may be, the hands might be a little bit more cranky. That's okay. We can warm them up. We can take it slow. All right, our shoulders, squeezing shoulders up to the ears and then relaxing down and back. Inhaling, we squeeze up, 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 up. And then exhaling, release. Down, down, down. Let's do that a few more times. And then I don't know about you, but when I start to move the shoulders, I feel like my head wants to go with it too. So if you feel like, oh yeah, I really need to move the head when we move the shoulders, probably because we're working the muscles of the neck. Let's slide the shoulder blades down the back. And then a more structured movement of the head. Let's take ear to shoulder one direction. Pause, breathe in. Bring it back through center, ear to shoulder the other direction. Pause, breathe in. All right, bringing it back through center, bringing our energy up, circle sweeping our arms here. So with our inhale, we're sweeping arms up overhead. Exhaling, we're bringing hands to heart center. Feeling out the range of motion in our shoulders. A small range of motion is still a fantastic range of motion. If anybody does Qigong or Tai Chi, we could do more Qigong, Tai Chi inspired circles. Still inhaling up and exhaling down. Smaller range of motion. If shoulders are feeling expansive today, then we could do an expansive movement. Yogi's choice. But we're doing this movement, we're matching breath to movement. So we do this to help us focus on a full deep breath, warm up the range of motion in our shoulders, and maintain range of motion and flexibility in our shoulders and our overhead reach. So if our shoulders are feeling okay here today, I'll give us a couple more options, but we're moving into lateral flexion. So we'll bring our hands down. We'll stretch fingers to the earth, and we'll start with the smaller range of motion. So we can always just stay here, reaching right fingertips down, lengthening the left side of the ribs, breathing in. As we come back through center, breathing out. The other way. So we're alternating side to side, finding our own perfect pace. Stretching down with the left, breathing in, coming back through center. If we like a larger range of motion, then we're inhaling, sweeping left hand overhead so that with our inhale, that increases the stretch through the left side of the ribs, left side of the waist. If we like more support, then we can be putting our hand down on the chair, maybe the arm of the chair, depending on what kind of chair we have. And then we're moving back and forth, gradually increasing our range of motion. If we have issues with dizziness, blood pressure, sometimes we're keeping our elbow bent. Arm overhead can really irritate that. And we're probably spending longer and moving more slowly through our usual warm-up flows. I think the exercise guidelines are 5 to 8 minute warm-up for a general class and 12 to 15 for an older adult, senior, deconditioned, more gentle support kind of class. Okay, we'll go once more each way. Every time the arm reaches up, the shoulder blade pulls down. Moving back through center. Coming into lateral flexion here. Let's start with I Dream of Jeannie arms. So we're sandwiching or stacking our forearms, and we'll keep our bodies straight. So our spine is still aligned. We're pulling back one elbow at a time. Careful as we do this. I probably should have said this first, that we're not whacking our elbow against the chair. We can really hit our funny bone with that. So I Dream of Jeannie arms are often recommended for neck pain if we are spending too much time sitting at the computer. But we can start from here to get our torso twisting as well. Pulling the elbow back, pulling the shoulder back. All right, we'll come back through center. I'll show us a couple more options for our twist. If we would like to start a lawnmower, we are reaching our arms forward and we're pulling back. We're an old pull start boat motor, rotating side to side, working our elbow in the direction of the back of the chair. We can turn the head with it. But again, if we have any issues with dizziness or anything like that, we can keep the eyes forward. So now that we've warmed up range of motion in our torso, coming back through center, let's do it more yoga style. So usually our yoga style, we're inhaling, circle sweeping arms to sky. And then exhaling, we're resting our hands down as we turn the center of our chest towards the side of the room. Let's keep going. Inhale, sweeping up. And exhale, turn and twist. We can turn our eyes and we can turn our head, aiming to look over our back shoulder, checking our blind spot. Going once more each way. And then as we come back through center, let's pause and hold there. Our seated cat and cow. So a bunch of these I will show us standing and sitting. So we'll do repeats, which might be good. You don't need to go anywhere. I will turn my chair sideways so you can see me better. We are arching our spine in a C shape for our cat pose. So we can take our hands, sliding hands towards our knees, and then letting our back round as we do so. Reversing the movement, bringing our hands up to the top of our thighs. We can push down onto our thighs, lifting our hearts, rounding our backs in the opposite direction. So that's our pattern. Let's keep flowing back and forth. I'll give us some pointers as we go. So as we slide our hands forward, we're still keeping shoulders away from the ears. And then as we slide our hands back, let's channel the energy of our favorite superhero, lifting chest up tall and confident. So for our cat pose, we're really rounding into a C shape. We can tuck the chin, kind of tucking our bums under us on our chair. And then the opposite range of motion. Can we kind of untuck our bums? Using our back muscles here to lift up from our hearts. And we can take our eyes to the ceiling as well. Let's go a couple more times. We can think of this as an eye exercise. So we can lift our eyebrows to the sky. As we lift our eyes to the sky, working our foreheads as well. And there's actually a theory that part of the reason why our posture goes with age is because we simply spend more time staring at the floor while we walk, so that we can improve our posture by stretching our eyes and the connective tissue of our eyes upwards. All right, let's meet in our cat pose or a variation of seated camel, stretching up, up, up. And we can get a bit more out of it. We can hold the sides of our chair. If you have a chair like me, the back support or the arms of the chair, pressing down into the chair to grow taller and lift ourselves up. One more breath in here. And then we're coming back through center. We have stretched and mobilized. Let's get into some strengthening. Spinal balance here. So often we do our spinal balance on the mat. Well, let's do our spinal balance in our chair. We'll start with the legs. So I'm actually going to do this one without my blocks, feet flat on the floor. I feel like it gives me a little bit more movement. You may like to do the same thing, stepping the feet either outside or inside the blocks as I have. We can use our chair for support, alternating a march here. So we're marching in the chair, lifting up. We can do just legs, just arms, or both together. But I like to start with the legs because we're going to do opposite arm and leg forward. And if we get confused with the coordination, we can just wait until it's the opposite leg coming up. I hope that makes sense. So opposite arm and leg. We wait until we have the right leg coming, and then we reach the left leg forward. We can do just the arms if the legs are not feeling so great today. And if we're ready for a bigger range of motion, we are punching overhead. Big reach to the sky, hands like starfish, open those fingers. All right, let's go once more each way. We'll come back through center, and I'll give us our I Dream of Jeannie challenge. We'll come back to our stacked forearms again. I'll add, if we can add rotation here, but this time we'll add rotation with our legs. If it's easier, I think this is easier. We start with the legs again, so right and left, and then we're twisting towards the leg. So opposite elbow to knee. That might mean that we're moving very slowly, because as we start to move, we realize we're going backwards and we think, oh, wait, hang on. Right knee, left elbow. Okay, good. And it takes some time to make sure that we are, in fact, twisting. We won't hurt ourselves if we go backwards. It's just a coordination challenge to figure it out. Okay, we'll go once more each way. We'll come back through center. To rest our arms, we'll do our figure eights with our arms here. So let's pretend that we're in a pool of water, and we're just going to take our fingertips across the surface of the water. So our arms are heavy, hanging down, but light and easy. Bring in this imagery from nature. I hope it is cooling if we are feeling heat in the body. So our figure eights here, as we sweep the arms back, palms are forward. As we sweep the arms forward, palms are back. So the idea with this one is that we get a little bit of sort of cat and cow in the shoulders. So as we pull back, we're reinforcing shoulders back and down. But because the arms are kind of gentle and hanging, it gives them a break, because so much of what we do here in our seated classes is arm work. Okay, so let's rest the arms. We can come back to our figure eights at any time we need a break. For now, let's get into some movements of the arms. So like I said, if we're staying in the chair today for some reason, we can do just the arms. We can rest them at any point. We can do our best to approximate standing movements in the chair. And for a bunch of them, I'll show us both, so we get an option for everything. So let's start with our seated sunflowers, moonflowers, chair pose, and flight of the bird that we may be familiar with. So we can take our feet hip width apart or a little bit wider. We start with our arms. So let's make cactus arms here. And we'll start flowing with a chest press, bringing hands forward and then back. We can match breath to movement. Inhaling, open. Exhaling, chest press towards, palms towards one another. Let's hold our cactus arms open. So we're drawing shoulders back, elbows back. Our variation of our moonflowers, we can take our feet even wider. We're inhaling up and exhaling, elbows down towards our ribs. And instead of passively sitting here, let's push into our feet, like we are about to launch off our chairs, pushing down. All right, our sunflower variation. So as we come up to the top, we're drawing the shape of the sun, circling our hands towards the earth. But our challenge is that we're not doing our cat pose here, because that can be tricky. As we start to come forward, our arms kind of pull us forward, thinking more cow pose as we come forward, so our spines stay neutral. All right, last one like this. So that is our sunflowers. Let's come back to heart center. Sneak the feet in a little bit. Our chair flow. So this one I think is kind of tricky, but we'll do our best. So one of the suggestions is to use our chair push down into the seat to help us sit and stand. So if that's our practice today, we can take our hands to the chair. Our feet, instead of being in super close, let's make sure our heels are on the ground. So if, like me, you had your feet on blocks, we need to put the blocks somewhere else. We can reach down and move them, or we can brush them aside or slide them aside with a foot. Hands to the seat of the chair, and then we're practicing putting our body weight on our feet. So we're hinging from our hips coming forward, and then sitting back into neutral. Hinging forward and sitting back into neutral. If you don't want to know what this looks like from the side, we'll move us, hinging forward and coming back into neutral. If we do a lot of squatting, then our practice may be using our arms for balance, chair pose forward, and then sitting down. So if we're feeling good and strong, stable, ready to go, we can do quite a large range of motion. Maybe today we're just working on our hip hinge. One more option if we would like. We can come all the way up to standing, and we can come around to the back of the chair. So let's say I had my chair set up like all you lovely people towards the top 75% of the mat. I'm walking behind it. As I'm sitting down and back into my chair pose, I can use my chair for support. All right, so we have lots of options for chair flow. We'll do quite a few more here to give us time. I don't know how long it takes everybody to stand up, to walk around, to come back and seat. Remember, rest is always an option. Pausing at any point. We can pause and take a break. We can pause and do our figure eights with our arms, using the chair for as much or as little help as necessary. One more option would be reaching overhead with our inhale and sitting down maybe with our exhale. Whatever option we're doing, let's do one more. Fantastic. All right, I'll show us an option for sunflowers and moonflowers again. So if we're staying seated today, we can stay seated. If we're ready to stand, we can stand. And we'll come around the back of the chair for our sunflowers and moonflowers. So let's just be mindful of how slippery our surface is. We can take our feet wide behind our chairs. So this is where sometimes a carpeted floor makes sense if we have running shoes and the mat sticks on the carpet, and we don't have to worry so much about, or if the chair sticks on the carpet, then we don't have to worry so much about the mat. Are we on the mat? Are we off the mat? But for today, we use what we have, stepping our feet wide, like a big wide squat, lowering down and back into our moonflowers. So using our chair as much as we need to. We can have both hands on the chair, no hands on the chair. Maybe we're only using one hand. So think about my student who had a stroke and just a little issue with one side of the body. Maybe she's just using that one hand down because it's difficult to lift it. Maybe we're alternating. So yes, it takes time to describe these modifications and to give our participants time to get into their own bodies, get into the feel of things. We can be working on endurance and emphasizing opportunities to rest all the way along. I'll show us from the side for our sunflowers. Same legs, we're inhaling up and exhaling, hinging from our hips. We can come down towards the chair. So we got to kind of trust our balance and our flexibility, pressing our behinds behind us. All right, let's do one more here of whatever we're doing. Coming back to standing. If we are standing, walking our feet towards one another. And if we're in our chair, we're already in the right spot. Because we'll take a seat, let's move through a warrior sequence here on the chair. And we'll turn on an angle. It can be a little tricky, just straight on the chair. So it actually gives us a bit more support to turn side on the chair so that the corner of the chair is coming through in front of the pelvis. So the point of the chair between our thighs. And then that means that we can more easily move our legs around. All right. So we're in this nice, solid, grounded position. And for our chair class here today, we'll call this our warrior two legs. And I will do my best to mirror you. Here we go. Let's give the shoulders a couple rolls. Slide them down and back. So we are standing tall. Warrior two. Let's take left hand over left fingertips. If we're comfortable in our L arms, then we have hands over feet, sort of the same way we would have in our warrior pose. So this is a variation of warrior two with the left leg bent. All right. So this is our smaller range of motion. If we do a lot of warrior two, or if we're okay rotating, then we are taking our arms to T with our right hand, our left hand over our left foot, and our right hand is opening us up so that we're sort of square to our side leg. Hope this makes sense. A little bit of a different change. For our side angle, we're taking arm to thigh, left to left. And then our right arm is free to reach upwards to the sky. So we're moving in two directions so that we're pressing down with the left to help us stay tall and reaching up with the right. Pausing and holding here. For more stability, we can be pressing down into the feet. For reverse warrior, moving back through our warrior two arms, warrior two legs stay as they are. We can take right hand to the seat of the chair if there's room, or right hand to thigh, and we're adding our lateral flexion here. So left arm up, lengthening down the left side of the body. Pausing and breathing. Maybe we feel increased stretch with our inhale, noticing the ribs spreading apart. Making our way back through center. And let's transition to the opposite side. So theoretically, we could keep the legs as they are and just go the other way. But I think so I can be more square to you. And so it feels like we've switched sides. I like to switch sides of the chair as well. All right, so we're on the opposite corner. Our variation of warrior two with the right knee bent. This time we know where we're going. So we can stack hands over feet, our L-shaped arms. This can be our warrior two, keeping in mind how much rotation and openness we have in the torso. If we are okay rotating and opening into our warrior two, then we keep right hand over right foot and we're opening to warrior two arms. So now our arms are at T instead of L. Doing our best to square ourselves straight forward to the short edge of the mat. And we can pause any step of the way, right? We can always rest hands down, rest hands to heart. If we're ready, we're moving into side angle, arm to thigh. So we're taking right to right. Let's do a little push down to help ourselves stay tall and strong. Left arm reaches to the sky. Bringing back those elements we were working on in our opening meditation, spreading our toes, pressing down into the feet. We can spread our fingers, breathing into the deepest parts of our lungs. Moving through our warrior two, reversing our warrior. So our right hand comes to the sky, our left hand can lower to thigh or chair, and we're getting our lateral flexion stretch or side bend stretch through the right side. our way back through center. Yogi's choice, we can repeat exactly as we just did, pivoting to the front side. If you'd like to join me standing behind your chair, you can. We can use our chair flow to stand up, staying tall, maybe pushing off the chair to get up there. As we've been doing, you can keep your chair exactly where it is. I will move mine so you can see me a bit better. And we'll move through our warrior sequence here. I'll continue mirroring. It's the same side of the body. We're just doing it a second round so we can get a feel for it. Standing. Okay, so everybody's left knee is bent. Doing warrior two, we can take our hands in our L arms or over top of our feet, using our chair as much as we like for our balance and support. Okay, yes, looks good. Careful that we're not really gripping for dear life. We stay loose, even though we are being supported. Side angle pose. So we can have our hand on our chair or our thigh, left to left, pressing down, lifting right arm to the top. So this is a balance and core strengthening pose. We can focus our attention on drawing our abdominals in. Strong, steady, without too much stress. We'll reverse the movement, so we're moving through our warrior two legs. Lateral flexion here, or reverse warrior. Left hand comes to the top. Our right hand can be on our hip, our thigh, or the chair for support. And we're getting stretch in the left side of the rib cage. Let's release back through center. And if we're seated, we're pivoting to the other side. If we're standing, we can walk our feet together. If your memory is good and you want to turn away from me, feel free to do so, putting the other hand down. If you'd like to move your chair, put your hand on the seat, whatever else we need to do to get to the other side to make it balanced. So when I'm teaching online, if people have their cameras on, I'm sort of looking. If I'm teaching in person, then I have more control over the environment. I might be a little bit more specific with where we're going. I trust you all to figure out how to be doing this with our right knee bent now, and our right hand can be on the chair. If we're in that both knees bent position, we can have our L arms, hands over feet, or we can be opening to our warrior two legs, our warrior two arms. Side angle pose, hand to chair or thigh. Our back arm, in this case, our left arm, reaches to the sky. Using our chair for as much or as little support as we feel we need today. Checking in with how hard we're working. Sometimes we're just sort of hanging out and we forget, oh yeah, that's right, I'm exercising. So we might need to engage our muscles a bit more, push a little further. Sometimes we're really straining, and if we check in with how we're doing, oh yeah, we need to remember to relax. Let's reverse the range of motion for our lateral flexion. So we can be taking left hand to left hip, right arm overhead. Now, what if I still need the support of the chair? That's okay. I can be, just like we did when we were sitting in the chair, we had both hands down. I can be kind of tilting away, but I have my hand on my chair to help me out. Making sure, let's check in. We're remembering to breathe. We'll come back through center. So for those of us who are in the chair, it's sort of a variation of our side angle that we've been doing. But if we're all okay with standing today, I will lead us through a variation of triangle. Let me think about this. And okay, if your chair is in the top 75%, we can walk around to the front and I'll show you so you know where we're going. We'll do a variation of triangle, but we'll use the seat for support. So often what people like to do is to have, let's say I'm putting my left foot forward I'm going to have my left hand on the chair and my right hand on the back of the chair. So I'll show us our triangle pose. Both legs are straight, kind of like our warrior two, but with a straight leg. And then we can use the chair for support to help us dip into our triangle pose. Usually we use the seat. If you're very tall or your chair is very tiny, we might be putting our hand on the back of the chair to help us out. And like I said, if we're in the chair, then it's a variation of our side angle. Okay, I hope that was helpful. If you're going with me, we can go together. Left toes point towards the chair. Right foot is perpendicular to the left. We can take our left hand down to the chair. So we're lengthening the left inner thigh and hamstring. Right hand can be on our hip or the back of the chair or reaching up. So again, we have this opposite action. One hand presses down, the other hand reaches up. And if we realize we don't need support from the chair, it's okay. It's there for us. Better to have it than to not have it. We could have our hand to our thigh or wherever else. It is our core challenge to bring ourselves back to standing, bending our knees, walking our feet towards one another, and making our way to the other side of the chair. So if you do have your chair at the top edge of the mat, that probably means we're stepping off the mat. So let's just keep that in mind for safety's sake as we're teaching or practicing today. If you're going with me, the right side, we're taking our right foot to point towards the chair. The left foot points towards the side instead, so it's perpendicular to the other foot. Feet are a comfortable distance apart. We use our chair for support. Our right hand can come down. The right knee can still bend. Maybe it's not happy straight. Pressing down with our right hand, reaching up. If our right leg wants to straighten, it can. We can be holding the back of the chair. Sometimes we have our foot in front of the chair as well for support. So what are we working here in our triangle? We're challenging strength in the sides of the body, our balance, our flexibility in the inner thigh. And then we're really working our core as we come back to standing. Super. Our tree pose. So I often like to show the seated variation first in case I have somebody who is in the chair the whole time. So our variation for our tree pose, if we're seated, we do just the legs. So we're turning out one leg at a time, hands to heart center. If we are standing, again, no need to move your chair, but we can come around to the back of the chair, facing the chair. We can have both hands, or no hands on the chair. What does our tree pose look like? For today, let's have our right foot super strong, like a revolving door. Our left knee turns to the side. If we're holding onto the chair for balance, fantastic. If not, we could put hands on hips to help us with our superhero posture. Hands to heart center to look more yogic. Arms out to T to help us with our balance. Maybe we're feeling uplifted and we want to bring our arms overhead. So we'll pause and hold here. For my peeps in the chair, what might that look like? We can have one leg turned out, like our tree pose. And then any of those arm positions are open to us. And the legs sometimes are a little wonky, but I want to give them an option to do something instead of so many seated yoga classes are like, just do the arms. And they spend the whole time doing circle sweep. And it's, I don't know, I feel like they're missing out. All right, let's take one more breath in and out. All right, so if you are standing behind your chair facing me, we simply go to the opposite side, standing strong on our left foot, turning our right knee open. If we're sitting, we give the arms a break and switch the legs. Once we feel solid from the ground up, let's add our arms. Holding on, relaxing through our fingertips. Maybe hands to hips. Thinking superhero energy here. Hands to heart, or we can grow branches of our tree like a cactus. like a pine tree, whatever kind of branches we would like to grow here today. So this is our cool down, using this time to let our breath rate come down. We can be drawing hands back down through heart center, down towards our chair. We're sitting neutral in seated mountain, or we can be standing behind our chair in mountain. We were talking a little bit about these high knee movements this morning. Let's do one here. I don't have a good name for this, so we can just call it our knee raise, lifting one knee towards the top of the chair, towards the ceiling, but we're using our hands for balance. Sometimes we may notice that we're really reaching forward to the chair, in which case we could do a little turn side so that the chair is closer to us. We also have the option, of course, to do this one holding onto a sturdy wall, right? And if we're seated lifting one leg. I hope we feel strong through our hip flexors and our core. Let's lift another centimeter and then release. We've got two sides. Let's take it to the other side, okay? Finding our balance, finding our preferred form for holding the chair. So yes, I'm giving lots of options to a population that generally just likes to do whatever the teacher is saying. I notice once I start talking with my hands, I get a group of people doing this. That's a lot of visual information for me. Gives me some insight into how they are receiving all of these different options. And if I notice that people are just monkey see, monkey do, then I'm going to pick a middle of the road variation that I think most people can find success in, and I'm just going to teach that till they get used to me and they kind of see the different options. That may be where we have to go. Okay, let's take a breath in. We breathe out, lift a little higher, and then release. Okay. I would like to offer us an opportunity for a hydration break. Sometimes we forget that we are thirsty. We can drink at any point during our class. You never need permission from me, but if you like to follow the teacher, go for it. Oh, I almost forgot. Okay, one more. On a wall or a chair. A little trickier to do seated. Seated, if you're sitting at a desk, right? So I teach on Zoom. People are often sitting at their dinner table. They'll do this with the arms forward on the table. We can take our hands forward on our chair, sometimes called bow to the chair, which I feel sounds like some weird sort of chair worship. I mean, I love IKEA, but I don't know about bowing when I get there. I call it number 7 pose because that is essentially the shape we are making our bodies. It is downward facing dog on a chair. So my peeps at home on Zoom, they're sitting in their chair, hinging from their hips, reaching forward, putting their hands on the dinner table. And in our downward dog, we can shift our weight, bend and straighten our knees, wag our tails, any kind of movement that feels good here. Keeping in mind blood pressure, all that sort of stuff, coming to stand as slowly as we need to. Remembering to exhale on the way up. And then we're ready to take a seat. And my populations do not need any instruction with how to get in and out of a chair. They just prefer not to get on the floor. They like a seated class. So I'll say, let's take a seat. And they all use perfectly good form to take a seat. Sometimes we need to cue our participants to sit down. Let's take a seat. We can always reach our hands in behind us for support, sensing the chair in behind us, and then sitting down. Beautiful. If we have our blocks and we want to slide them back where our feet are going to land, we can. Generally, we take them maybe a fist width apart, something like that, depending on how broad our hips are. Women actually probably are doing 2 fists instead of 1. Sometimes it's more comfortable for our hips to be offset, 1 foot up, 1 foot down. But we'll do some stretches and we'll start with the strap. I always say this class is going to be shy of an hour, and then I show all the modifications and talk too much. So Let's wrap it up. Okay, we'll take our hands into the loops if we can. If we do not have a strap with loops, we can simply hold the strap, or we can loop the strap around our hands so we don't have to grip it so tightly. But we're doing our upward mountain with lateral flexion. So hands are about shoulder width apart, or a little bit wider. As we age, of course, we lose overhead range of motion, not always. So our participants might be happier with the elbows bent, palms forward. If we have more mobility, hands are closer together, maybe palm to palm. Reaching up, tall and proud, aligning our spines. Let's dip to one side, pause and breathe, lengthening the opposite side of the ribs. Inhaling back through center. And then we take it the other way. So we're thinking blood pressure, circulation. We probably don't want to spend too long with the arms overhead. Coming back through center and releasing. Seated cactus. Depending on our chair and how we are set up in ourselves, we may like to have the strap in behind. Holding on to our strap, looping it, putting our hands through the loops for a variation of chest expansion. So if we are unfamiliar, and this is how I will show my students, I'll get up and show them our camel, seated camel or chest expansion. The idea is that our hands are in behind, punching down. We may prefer to stand up or simply to sit towards the front edge of the chair so we have space in behind us to be reaching down. Our palms can be facing forward, or hands can be wider than our hips, but anything that gives us this open across the chest kind of feeling so that we are reversing our slouch. We could have called it seated camel, or we can call it reversing the slouch. Keeping it active, we are pressing against the strap. So the strap's just not limply hanging. We're putting tension on the strap, reaching out. Those TheraBands have become very popular for good reason. It reminds us to put tension on the strap and can challenge us. It's another great tool that we can use. Gives us a bit more strengthening than our yoga strap. All right, let's release our strap in behind us. We can circle our shoulders. And we'll do our hairbrush arms. So we're taking arms out parallel with the floor, but palms up. In fact, we may like to do a little flip to loosen up this range of motion. Often I'll say to my participants, thumbs up, and then hitchhike the thumbs backwards. That's kind of the range of motion we're going for here. Hitchhiking backwards. Last one here. So we'll hold the palms up with the thumbs back. Let's brush our hair with one arm at a time. And then both arms together. Guess we would need 2 hairbrushes for this. Let's do it one more time. Opposite arm starts, one arm at a time. And what if we can't reach all the way in behind? We just fake it. Just careful not to smack your face. Both arms together. And releasing. All right, we'll use our strap if we would like. We'll finish the same way we began with our seated pigeon. So to use our strap to help us out with this one, we can release our strap in front of our foot. We're lifting our toes to get the strap underneath the foot and work the anterior tibialis, I guess. We can hold on with both hands, or we can loop through, thinking about how happy our fingers are today, our joints are today. We use the strap to lift the leg into our seated pigeon. Sometimes the leg just wants to slip off. So we may be using the strength in our arms the whole time, like a seated row, pulling back to hold the leg in place. We start from our tall spine, and then as it feels good, hinging forward from the hips, let's use our sinking breath here. Inhaling, noticing that we are lifting, noticing how long and tall our spines are, and then exhaling, sinking further into our stretch here. Let's make sure that we have safety and engagement in the foot. So if our foot is just flopping, Let's again use the muscle in the front of the shin to pull our toes towards our knees. So our foot is in a neutral position, foot-like mountain pose. Or we could say flexing, whatever language we like. Usually this gives us a stretch down the outer hip and thigh on the top leg. So in this case, our left leg. Let's do one more round of sinking breath here. Inhaling, feeling, lifting slightly. And exhaling, going further. We'll come back through center, releasing our legs. Maybe shake it out, and then we'll take it to the other side. If we're using our strap today, same idea. We release the strap, and sometimes people need a lot of specific instruction. We are holding the ends of the strap. We are lowering the strap down in front of our right leg. We are lifting our right toes. We are taking the strap. Now, if we have shoes on, doesn't matter so much, but ideally we want the strap under the, does this make sense? Under the balls of the toes. So normally we just think of like the ball under the big toe, but under the ball of the foot, but all the way along that line out towards the pinky. We can be wrapping our strap around our hands, and then we're using our strap to help and lift up into our supported pigeon. Inhaling to sit tall. So we are tall, confident pigeons, and then we are hinging forward. We're avoiding pecking the earth. We're actually pulling our noses away from the earth in pigeon. Flexing the right foot and adjusting, moving around until we feel comfortable. We feel a solid resting point. Using our sinking breath to help us get more. Inhaling, feeling a fullness, a filling, a lengthening of the spine, a lift. Exhaling, going deeper. Enjoying the stretch further. And I like to highlight enjoying. If we do not feel enjoyment here, maybe a smaller range of motion, this pose can also be done in a more relaxing way. So if you feel you are efforting too hard, we could be sitting up tall. We could be lifting and lowering the knee to loosen up the hip joint. This is not a no pain, no gain style of movement. You probably knew that already. Let's give it one more round of breath wherever we are. We're making our way back up to a seated position. We can release our strap, release our feet, take it off, whatever we need to do here. And let's finish with our circle sweeps. So we are inhaling, arms to the sky, exhaling down through heart center, reestablishing mind-body connection with the shoulders. And to bring our energy down a touch more, and let's do our Qigong circles or Tai Chi circles. We use gentle fingertips and a smaller range of motion. So lots of my seniors are familiar with that style of exercise, popular for senior fitness kind of thing. So I'll bring that in. Okay, then next time our hands come down, let's place hands on our thighs or any other comfortable resting point. Our finishing relaxation, feel free to watch me the whole time. But if we're comfortable closing our eyes, we can close our eyes here. Let's come back to our sinking breath. Inhale, feeling our bodies lift, tall, elongating. Exhaling, pressing our feet down into the earth. Being aware of our seat in the chair, that we are not slumping. We are supported into our tall mountain posture. We may like to use counting for our 3-part breath or diaphragmatic breathing. We can inhale, counting to ourselves in our own minds. 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 3, 2, 1. So why do we call it our 3-part breath? We imagine our lungs in 3 parts, that we are filling our lungs into our bellies. The next part, we fill our lungs filling up to our ribs. And then like we're filling a glass of water all the way to the top, to the chest, collarbones, up to our shoulders. So we may picture our torso filling like we would fill a glass of water. From bottom to top. And then emptying from bottom to top as well. So each time we breathe out, we feel the belly draw in, ribs knit together in the front, and then our chest relaxes and falls. As we sit here, if we like to count, let's see if we can slow the counting down or add in more numbers. So instead, we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feel as we breathe. Noticing on our inhale, movements of the belly. Can we almost feel as though our breath goes into the sides of the waist and the low back? As we keep breathing, can we notice movements of the lower ribs, mid-back? We keep breathing. Maybe we notice subtle movements of the collarbones or shoulder blades. Can we be aware of inhaling so that our kind of ribs press out into our underarms? Option to place a hand on heart or heart center, tuning to the feeling of our own heartbeats. Seeing if we can sense and guess at how many beats per minute our heart is beating. Picturing our heart strong, fluid, vital, healthy, pumping blood through our bodies, and also representing our level of connection and compassion with those around us and for ourselves. Let's release hands again down to our thighs. We can open our eyes. Might feel good. Just move the shoulders, shake out the cobwebs. And let's finish with a round of breath together. Inhaling, we circle sweep arms to sky. And exhaling, we are bringing hands to heart. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Namaste.